get to the composition, we just did that take. Maybe have some questions. We have enough time for that. In the meantime, we had a great chance to talk. You remember we sat down and interviewed you?
Yes,
I did. Very thoroughly. Because first thing I was interested in you don't mind if I do this kind of question answer thing? Very interested in her school. Because I said, why St. Bridget in Schilling? What was that? Because to me, when you gave me this very small little CV of yourself resume, I said, obviously this was a decision your parents made. And I'm kind of interested in your parents because they made this decision. I'm sure at 5 you can say, hello, Mom, I want to go to St. Bridget. Maybe you did, you like the uniform, I don't know. But the food was cool, I don't know. But can you tell us a little bit about what your parents wanted for you, wanted for their child?
Yes. Thank you. My parents would have wanted me to be here today. So my parents growing up told me to have dreams. They told me to have goals. And they told me to work hard at those goals. And I did. And the reason for me to attend the school like St. Bridget's Convent, and I'm proud to say I'm a pupil of that school produced the world's first female head of state in 1960. And it is known for producing leaders, for women who go out there and make a difference. Some girls opt to, well, their parents opt that they finish school after a certain age. My parents always encouraged me to get an education. More than giving, I'm not from a background where I was given large inheritance or, anything like that. But what they did do for me was to create a thirst for success, a thirst for a higher education, and that really helped me to move forward.
And I noticed you played the piano. Now, I wouldn't think at 5-year-old, I wouldn't expect a 5-year-old in Sri Lanka to start playing a piano. How did that become also part of your cultural background?
Yes, I have to say that some of the things that I was able to have access to, a piano, an English education, to be surrounded by books. My father was an author himself in Sri Lanka, and he was a lawyer, and he was an author, and our house was filled with books. It was a living library, but that is not the standard for every Sri Lankan household. The majority of Sri Lankan households, and for Sri Lankan girls, that would be a very rare thing. So I'm grateful that I had all those. I feel very blessed. But I have not forgotten the 80%. I give back. I go back and I take, there are books that people don't read. I have formed libraries there, English books, because the access to English books are difficult, especially in the remote parts of the country. As far as my music education, I started piano when I was 5. I am a classical pianist, and I used to perform very seriously, practicing 8 hours a day. I actually performed at the Thibaut Varga Music Festival in Sion, Switzerland, 15 years ago. So I'm coming to Switzerland after 15 years, and I have performed at some other festivals in the States. I love music. It was a part of my life for a good 25 years, but now I'm doing more of the writing. But classical music is wonderful. It gets a little intense when you have to practice all the time, but now I focus more on writing and speaking and doing humanitarian work with this organization in Sri Lanka. I have been working with a women's organization, and we do grassroots projects. And actually, just recently, we started a system. I have a baby myself. My son is very little right now. And the experiences that I had being in the States of trying to juggle a career with motherhood, that really opened my eyes to a lot of things, because I know what women in Sri Lankan villages endure with motherhood, and some of the workshops certainly highlighted that during this conference. And I know how many children are orphaned because parents cannot afford that. So one of the projects that we just started doing is to enable new mothers to do a bakery on wheels so that they can bake bread while their infants are at home, and then they can make a living through that. there are so many setbacks, but there are things that can be done to move forward. So I love doing humanitarian work in Sri Lanka.
Now, we also got to talk about you being an author, because I'm in a writers group, and I was very fascinated about her process. And one thing is she's written 5 books, and the first 2 were actually, one was entrepreneurship, second one was about grant writing as a profession, right? Is it writing grants or how to be a grant writer?
Thank you. Yes, this is my 5th book. It's hot off the press, came out in November, so it's literally hot. But my other book is Ghost Towns of the Rockies. That was actually written, I was volunteering for the Forest Service one summer in Moab, Utah. Anyone from Utah?
Oh, we've been there.
You've been to Moab? Yes. So I was volunteering for the Forest Service one summer, and I noticed many abandoned cabins, and that's really what exposed me to ghost towns. So that book is on ghost towns. 2 of my books are related to financial aid, something that I'm so indebted for. And when I heard about what FAUCA does for Eleanor Roosevelt scholarships for girls to spend time in New York and other programs, I am fascinated by it, because without financial aid, I would not have been able to get a college education in the States. I got scholarships to study in Clark and Tufts, at Clark and Tufts universities in Boston, all through financial aid. And I like to give back, because I know it's because of fundraisers like last night that I was able to get an education. So 2 of my books are related to financial aid, based on my extensive experience of applying for grants, getting scholarships, applying for loans, Stafford loans and things like that. And my first book, very first book, was titled Start Your Own Day Spa. And being a predominantly female conference, I would like to add, very sincerely, that my first 5 books were written and published between my 2 pregnancies and breastfeeding. Yes, I somehow managed to juggle both. I would be breastfeeding and I would be typing.
Okay, that's going to be a good story for the writers group. We usually are juggling a bottle of wine and trying to type. Are you working on a 6th? Would we have another? Yes, you are, aren't you?
Still not ready yet, but thinking about a topic. I'm still taking a little breath from the 5th book. But I love writing, and I love speaking about my books and inspiring people and women to move forward, to carry that message. Thank you, and you have all inspired me today. Yes.
We have any questions from the floor. We have time. I'm going to bring the mic back. He's going to open the mic here so you can stay here at the podium.